I would like to think, although not naively, that we do have some cause to be excited about the upcoming Avengers Doomsday movie. Now, I've said this before. I've said that if they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, who becomes Doctor Doom, I don't think that's a good look. And I think we have very good reason to believe that he's literally just going to be Victor Von Doom. Let's get to this article from cosmicbooknews.com. Avengers Doomsday filming. Russo's tease Victor Von Doom. And I'm telling, this is a great thing for all of the concerns people have about this movie. And look, I'm not naive. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any concerns, but I think introducing Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom is a great first step. This tells me that they are serious about making this movie and like putting in an honest effort, and I like it. So Avengers Doomsday is now officially filming, as the Russo brothers have confirmed the start of production with a tease of none other than Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom. And they got the chair, Victor Von Doom. And I think personally, again, this is just my personal opinion, I believe they did this again to send an olive branch out to the fans. And look, the Russo brothers have a good track record. They have that. Disney has had some bumps and bruises, but the Russo brothers themselves with Disney and Marvel have a good track record. So just going off on that, seeing that they brought Robert Downey Jr. back, he's playing Doom. Everybody's trying to figure out, is this an alternate? Is this Tony Stark who becomes Doom? Like, what's going on? And we see this chair, Victor Von Doom. No, this is Victor Von Doom. Just happens to be being played by Robert Downey Jr. I am okay with that. I am 100% okay with that. Monday morning, the Russos shared a photo of the director's chair for Victor Von Doom, teasing day one. I like it. The Russos recently teased a new beginning for the MCU following Doomsday, the Avengers, Secret Wars, perhaps signaling at an MCU reboot. And this, look, especially in this scenario, me personally, in this situation currently that Marvel finds themselves in, I think a reboot is perfectly fine. And I think it's actually warranted. I think this will actually do probably the MCU a lot of good if it's done obviously, if it's done correctly. I mean, that goes without saying. What's compelling about these two Avengers movies is there a beginning. It's a new beginning. We told an ending story. Now we're going to tell a beginning story. And this intrigues me. This intrigues me in every good way. I think, like I said, I am excited about this movie. It's not without, some degree of hesitation, but I am excited. I think this movie is in good hands with the Russo brothers until they prove otherwise. They could always prove otherwise, but I've enjoyed the Marvel movies I've seen that these gentlemen have been behind. They added, well, we always create our own versions of the story. And they did this, and I said this in one of my shorts a few days ago. I don't have a problem when some things are changed when you're transitioning from cartoons and comic books to the big screen, because not everything translates one-to-one. I am okay with them creating their own versions of stuff as long as it's true to the character. This happens in comic books all the time. A writer will get a book and he'll create some really dope version of a character, change it up slightly, but keep the core dynamics of the character. I mean, I think we see this in Ultimate Spider-Man and Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman is unlike any Batman book that I've ever read. And yet it's still an incredible book. Some people have criticisms for it, not necessarily unwarranted, but I enjoy the book thoroughly. I think this book is done very well. Okay, so movies or beginning, where was that? Version of the story. So we use the comics as loose inspiration, but I grew up on the original run. That's something that got me into Marvel comic books. The Hickman run is also fantastic, and they're very different from each other in a lot of ways. So we'll draw inspiration from both of them. And again, I think any fan that's being honest, as long as the characters are not changed from their core, we are okay with something slightly different. Now, the argument can also be made, and look, I have no problem with this argument. The argument can also be made that there's no need to change anything. Just give us what we have in the books. And I think this is just playing devil's advocate. I think sometimes what happens with directors and writers is if you get somebody coming in brand new to write an Avengers comic book, this person is probably going to take inspiration from the things that have came before, but they're probably going to create their own script, their own story. This is going to be something new, something that hasn't necessarily been seen. They might not change the characters at their core. They might not do anything to bastardize the characters in any way. They're going to stay true to who they are. You're going to recognize all these characters, but the story is going to be told in a slightly different manner. I'm okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that as long as I said, they do not swap around the characters and change things that have no business being changed. Anthony Mackie also recently teased a return to that old Marvel feeling. Yeah, man, we're kicking on down the road. So everybody's getting excited, and we're getting the band back together. Mackie told IGN while promoting the upcoming release of Peacock's Twisted Metal Season 2. And I like Anthony Mackie. Yeah, of course, I'm familiar with some things he said on the press tour for Captain America. I'm not going to hold that over the dude's head. I've listened to many of his interviews, and there's a lot of things he said that is very well, that I agree with 100%. And there's some things he said that I'm like, I don't care for. He's human. I'm going to say something that my audience is not going to like. I've said things that my audience has not liked, and they've told me in the comments, I am okay with that. I'm good with that. I think we got to learn how to sometimes understand that, people are not just going to be a cookie cutter version of what we want them to be. They're going to be their own people. And sometimes they're going to say things that we vehemently disagree with. But I like Anthony Mackie's demeanor for the most part. When I've heard his interviews, when I've seen him talking, I'm like, I like this guy. I think he's just a likable person in general. Mackie continued, we're supposed to go out this week and we'll be out there doing it. Everybody's excited. I feel with the script and having the Russo brothers back, it's going to be great. Look, I think Disney is trying to bring that feeling back. They realize in some of their movies they lost something, and this is cause to be excited. I think it is. Mackie added, I'm really excited for what this project is going to be. It's going to give the audience that old Marvel feeling that they always had. And of course, they go through all of the people who are in the movie. I'm not going to go over that list again. But I think this is good. I think this is good news. I think the Russo brothers, they typically do a good job. I have no reason as of this point to doubt that they're going to do a good job on this movie. So I am excited. Right now, I think Avengers Doomsday, pending, any news releasing that will point to the otherwise, I think this is going to be a good movie. I'm not going to say it's going to be great, but this movie has large potential to really excite us and head the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a good direction. This is a good opportunity for course correct.